Did you know you can sponsor your favorite podcast on the Spin Market Podcast Network? Hi, everybody. My name is Peter Stockdale, host of the Spin Market Report. In 2025, our podcast had over 26,000 streams, and our YouTube channels had over 1.4 million views. Whether you're promoting a product, service, or event, we'll help you reach the audience that matters. Get more information on how to sponsor a podcast at spinmarket.com. Spin Market, your business, your message, our platform.
It's the Spin Market Report. Here's your host, Peter Stockdale.
All right, we're back. It's another Marketing Monday.
A very important day of the week here at Spin Market, Marketing Monday.
Yes, every Monday we got a new episode of the Spin Market Report coming out. And this week we're sitting down with Rebecca Reitmeier. You own Bloomers in Fort Dodge.
I own Bloomers on Central, yes.
Nice. Bloomers it used to just be right around the corner from us. I used to love walking by, knowing there was a coffee shop right there. But you haven't been there for a while.
I haven't been there since January of 2024.
Woo! All right.
Yes.
So let's go all the way back to the beginning.
Sure.
For people that don't know what Bloomers is, could you tell us a little bit about it and maybe a little bit about yourself?
Well, Bloomers is not a floral shop, as most people might think. Bloomers was established in Fort Dodge in 1994. I'm at what's now the third location and the third owner. It was first going to be a floral shop, which is why it was called Bloomers, and floral and gift shop. But Michelle, who was the first owner, decided, I guess people from the community were saying, oh, coffee's starting to get popular. You should have a espresso machine. Can you serve coffee here and food? And so Bloomers no longer was going to be a floral shop anymore. It was going to be a specialty coffee and gift shop. And so that is how, I guess she just didn't change the name, and Bloomers has been Bloomers now for over 30 years.
Wow.
And we sell coffee, gourmet coffee, espressos, and things have progressed over the past 30 years. So like it was the first coffee shop in Fort Dodge where basically no one really knew what if they were ordering a cappuccino or espresso, a latte. There was no macchiatos, stuff like that. And so, whereas now I would say coffee, everybody gets their coffee daily, and sort of knows the basics of coffee. And so that it's evolved a lot over that time, especially in the city.
You had mentioned how Bloomers is not a flower shop.
Correct.
When I did an AI overview of like what Bloomers in Fort Dodge was, it kept trying to say like they have flowers. And I was like, I don't think so. And then I had to go really look hard, and I'm like, there's no flowers here though. But maybe that's where they got it from though. Used to be.
Could be, yeah. Yeah.
I wonder how far back AI looks. I don't know. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
All right. So it originally started there. How did you get involved in Bloomers?
So back in 1996 or 97, it was my dream job to work at Bloomers. I would go there. My sister knew someone who worked there, and she was in high school at the time. And so I was like, man, in a couple of years, if I can work at Bloomers, that'd just be awesome. And so in 96 or 97, I got hired by the first owner. So that was my very first job.
Nice.
It was a fun job where we just basically, it wasn't too busy. We sat around a lot of the day and had coffee or sandwiches, and it was really, the atmosphere was, I would say like it is now, where you walk in the door and everyone just sort of greets you. You feel welcome. There was always comfy couches there to sit on. So yeah, that was my first job from 96 to 2004. I still worked there when I went to college. Worked there when I worked at the hospital full time, and then I would go and work at Bloomers on Saturdays. So I worked there until 2004, and then I left for California and came back to Fort Dodge in 2017. I learned in 2020 that Bloomers was closing. The second owner, COVID happened. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you know that, but COVID happened. And basically when things were starting to reopen, her family said, I think you just need to retire. We're going to try to sell the business. They weren't successful in finding anyone that was going to buy the business. And so they had everything basically itemized and was going to go up for auction. And I saw them at Fairway one day and they were like, yeah, Bloomers is going to be done. Couldn't find anyone to buy the business. And so I gave it just a little bit of thought and I was like, I love Bloomers. The time I worked there, it was just a very memorable time. And so I took it on as just a chance. If I was just sitting by myself drinking coffee and no one would come in the door, at least, I tried. So I reopened Bloomers as owner in October of 2020.
Okay. And that was right here in the Trolley Center.
That was in the Trolley Center.
That was in the Trolley Center. So what was going through your mind? Did you think it was going to be any different than it was, how you remembered it, kind of, growing up working there or coming back and seeing it? Or
so since I left in 2004, and basically my time there, even in the 90s, the menu hadn't changed, the decor really hadn't changed, the atmosphere of the place hadn't changed. And so when I took it over, I just did sort of a revamp of the menu from what I knew from other places where I had worked in California. And I honestly guessed that I would still spend a lot of my days just on the couch sitting and waiting for customers to come in. My mom was there the first week. She was just going to help me out to make sure I got things settled. And it just was so busy. I think it became something that the people needed right then because COVID, like I said, everything was just opening back up again. There was not many places where you could go and sit. And so my mom never left. She's
still there.
She's still there. Yeah. And then my stepdad started to wash the dishes and he's still there too. So, it was the unexpected part was just how much, the community re-embraced Bloomers after it had closed and then also re-embraced me as an owner.
Nice. Do you think going to California, let's just call a spade, probably more coffee shops in California than Iowa, especially given the time frame, mid 2000s through, the 20-teens. Do you think having that experience going over there, seeing some other coffee shops, how they operate, kind of gave you a different feel of maybe how you wanted to, go into Bloomers when you ended up buying it?
100%. I worked for a coffee shop that was owned by a dad and his daughter. And so I worked there during the time that I was out there and they ended up closing before I left. But a lot of the concepts, like we were serving acai bowls back in 2005 in California, where that's just sort of picking up here now in Iowa. So a lot of the trends that were there, I brought into Bloomers. The Eggle is named after a place I worked in California because that's what it's a breakfast sandwich that we serve at Bloomers. So I took a lot of their concepts and what I knew, the coffee, also from there. And I was able to reopen Bloomers with the knowledge I have very quickly because there was that knowledge that I took from my time in California.
Nice. So you reopened when COVID happened, but I do know that it ended up closing again.
It did.
Yes. And you guys have since moved.
Yes.
Can you walk us maybe through that? Like what kind of happened and how the move ended up taking place?
So the Trolley Center was purchased at auction in 2022. And it was purchased by an out-of-state investors. And the tenants there were promised, we got a notice saying our leases were still good. They were going to make improvements to the place. Basically, nothing was going to change for us, that they wanted the Trolley Center to succeed. And then as time went on, we all were sort of like, nothing's improving. They hadn't been paying the water bill, the electric bill. They were just sort of absent from helping us out like they said they were going to do, and improvements and all that. And so I knew something was going to happen. They had stopped heating the basically main part of the Trolley Center. Like I say, the water was shut off, except for my part, or the water, they hadn't been paying it. And so the city wasn't shutting off the water because I was still in there and because there was tenants in there. And so they were the owners were warned that by the fire marshal and by myself too, that during the freezing temperatures, things happen, and, pipes freeze, they burst. And if that's happened, you're going to have a flood happen at the trolley center. And that's exactly what happened. So I pulled up to work one day right as a fire truck was pulling up, and there was water just spewing out the door. And I didn't know if my area was affected or not, if Bloomers was affected. Fortunately, the one side of the trolley center, the sprinklers were going off, or the pipes were burst all night. And so it was like knee deep water in the basement area.
Oof. Wow.
Like a lot of damage.
Wow.
But in my area, because everything was separate as far as the pipes and sprinklers, it was safe, but the city shut off the water. And I knew at that time, they're not going to turn it on unless this guy starts to pay the water, and he didn't want to cooperate. And so I knew from that moment that, either I had to move or just shut down completely.
I will say, like one of the saddest things ever was walking past the window and seeing that little cardboard sign.
Yes. With the sad face.
I got so sad seeing that. It's like, no water. Like, sorry. And you can't make coffee without water.
No. Yes.
I don't know. It's just so sad.
Yeah. And I had no idea when my friend actually made that sign when we were moving things out, how long. I mean, the sign was up, and you probably saw it sort of fading away and getting mold on it. Like it got sadder and sadder, I think, as time went on.
I think it's finally gone, actually.
I might have taken it out. Yeah. It just was like, you can't even read. It just looks like a cardboard
I think
piece
the
of paper.
best part of having these conversations is hearing the whole story. Mm-hmm. From the time you took it over, the things that you brought back to Fort Dodge to incorporate into Bloomers, the perils of being a business owner and not having, it was out of your hands. You're totally uncontrollable, but you've been resilient, and we're excited to say that you're reopened.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. I think the story behind it all, and, I don't know if I would have taken the chance to buy Bloomers had I not worked there or didn't know anything about it. And it had a place in my heart because that's sort of where I grew up. And so, the ending of the trolley center was really sad because that's where I spent a lot of my time as a youth, a teenager and then into my 20s. And so it wasn't just Bloomers and the coffee and all that. It was the actual environment that I sort of have had to grieve also.
Wow. I didn't even think about that. So when you decided to reopen it, was it kind of like a no-brainer? Like when everything kind of closed down, or did you have to like sit and think about it for a second?
So things had been going bad for a while. And I had a gut feeling that, one of these days I'm just going to have to make the decision. And Dawn Larson from the city, she was a regular customer, and she would come in and be like, what are you going to do if Bloomers closes? And I'm like, I think that's just it. That'll be the end. And then, cause I said, I don't really have any help. It was just my parents. And I didn't really think that myself, I had enough in me to reopen it. Then in September, my friend had ended her job. And so I asked her, I was like, just help me out in the meantime till you find another job. And she also never left. And so,
there's something about just can't,
right.
Nobody leaves.
Nobody leaves.
That's a positive.
That's a warning possibly also, but, no, so she started in September just helping me out, and I had graduated high school with her, and she was I know it's hard to find good help. So as things were going worse and worse and worse, it's like, well, maybe if something does happen and she is with me, like that's it makes it so, I would think about reopening. And so I really owe a lot to her as far as like, she is the reason why I was able to think that I could reopen again, just because she was a great help again, we didn't think it was going to be 2 years later, but just the possibility that I would be able to reopen. And so when that happened, the water incident, it was like, okay, we got to do what we can do to find another location, which we had already started looking at locations before this happened, about a week before this happened. And so it was at that time a no-brainer, just because I knew I was going to have some great help with me.
Nice. So where's the new location at?
It is at 319 Central Avenue. It is on Central, which I think a lot of people don't realize that Central we're still Bloomers on Central. But it's sort of right before you get to North 3rd Street, behind the library.
Oh, cool.
Yep.
That's a nice area down there. So you're still Bloomers on Central. That's
Still Bloomers on Central.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And now you have a drive-through.
And a drive-through, yeah, which is something I didn't have before, or even the opportunity to have, I would say, employees besides just us four working, my mom and my stepdad and Randy and myself at the old Bloomers. I mean, it was tight quarters there. And so now we're able to like have 6 people there if we wanted, or the room for expansion is there, which is great.
So what else has changed there? Have you changed any of the product offerings or the way everything's laid out, or
the layout for sure? And we have at the old Bloomers, there was, I called it my easy bake oven. It basically fit a 9x13 pan that I would bake the pastries in the morning. I would bake, 7-layer bars are a big thing that had been there for 30 years. So I would just pop a little tray into my easy bake oven, I call it, and it would cook one thing at a time, whereas the new Bloomers has a double oven, which is like,
cool.
It's like moving from just a little shack to a mansion for me. So the space alone for the kitchen area is just, and we are not, I guess, walking on top of each other has been the greatest thing for me, just because there is that room there that we did not have before.
Well, you've kept the cozy.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
The cozy is still there.
Thank you.
Just everything else is expanded.
Yes. Yeah. I think that's a trademark, I would say, of Bloomers. Like I said, even at the first Bloomers, there was just comfy places to sit and feel like home.
I think that was the one thing I remember going online and doing all the research for this. A lot of talk about the couches and like how comfy it was. Still got couches in the new place?
Still have couches. Haven't had at the old place, we'd have a couple people that would fall asleep, which is fine if you need a little nap on the couch.
How do you drink coffee and then fall asleep?
They would, we'd look over and be like, yeah, they're sleeping, but then they'd wake up and, so yeah.
I love it.
So what makes Bloomers unique then compared to other coffee shops, or maybe compared to like the big chain coffee shops? They exist, but sometimes I think that touch that you have with a small business is something special.
I think too, the coziness of it, where you walk in and you feel like home. And I was trying to think too, like, I know all of the local coffee shops here have dedication to their product that they're producing, to our coffee. I don't think they have their parents working for them or volunteering for them. So that's another thing too, that I know friends of my parents come in, and just that generation age gap is sort of unique, I think, too, where my son, who is 7 years old, like his friends will come in, and I have a little play area too. And I want, if you're a mom, that was one thing that I realized as a mom, where you go out and it's like, oh, I don't want my kid to run around. I don't want my kid to knock something over, where at Bloomers, the kids, they have to stop them from going back into the kitchen and all that. And we're like, yeah, they can, come in and just, be welcome. So
that's awesome.
I love that about Bloomers, is it's just a place, I hope, where everyone can relax.
So what have you learned about yourself or about running a business over the last handful of years that you've been running Bloomers? I mean, you've had to endure a lot of things that maybe a lot of business owners haven't had to endure, including a move, closing for a while when it wasn't your choice really in the matter. So like, have you learned any lessons about running a business, or, maybe a little bit about yourself, about your own tenacity maybe?
I think I've learned what I'm good at and what I'm not good at, as far as, like, for instance, data or just numbers and all that, where in my personal life, I'm fine with that. But as far as in a business, it's just sort of the organization of it. And so for me, that's one thing that Randy is really good at. And so relying on others you don't have to manage everything, but relying on others to manage it for you is a necessary step, which a lot of the things too, when Bloomers shut down, people would offer to help, people would offer what they can. And so taking people up on that offer is something that I think I have a hard time doing, because I don't want to bother anyone, even though they're offering for it. And so as a business owner, I think having people around that say they're willing to help and willing to help out in ways that you're not good at is a necessary thing to do so that you don't get burnt out.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we discussed that in the AI episode even. Like
Yes.
sometimes it's like, even when you have AI helping you out with certain things, like sometimes I just like, I don't want to let go of the control.
Right, yeah.
But you fight the burnout
Right.
if you're not going to. So it's sometimes it's kind of nice to have a little bit of help on the side. Okay, so let's imagine somebody else is kind of going through something else. Nobody else was really at the Trolley Center when they closed that down. I mean, there were a couple things that were in there, but nobody's really like running full on businesses out of there. So let's say somebody else kind of was going through the same thing. They're renting a business space. Something happens. They don't have it anymore. Just, a downturn of fortune. Like what kind of advice would you give to them, to kind of see themselves through it?
One thing I would say is if you're renting from somewhere is know your rights as a tenant, which I didn't know at the time, and I was sort of misguided as far as paying rent still. And even when I didn't have water, even when I was still advised by a lawyer to pay rent, that I still had to pay rent. So that's one thing is know your rights as a tenant, and also have, look over the lease as far as that has to do with your rights also.
Mm-hmm.
But also just, I guess, embracing what is important as far as, like, for me, the thing that got me through was my customers and them reaching out to me and knowing that they wanted to see Bloomer succeed also, and believing that was true.
Mm-hmm.
And so just pulling pieces of what the positivities that will get you through the negative times has helped me out tremendously.
Yeah, you seem to have had a lot of community support, especially
Mm-hmm.
like it. When it closed, it wasn't just something where I only heard about it here because we're around the corner from where Bloomers used to be. I heard about it going around town where people were like, it's a bummer Bloomers isn't open anymore. Which, I mean, I bring my own coffee from home, but still, like, it makes sense that people, when they come downtown, it was a nice thing to have downtown. I can walk around the corner and get a coffee if I need to. There were so many people that did that, coming to their jobs downtown. It's like, I'll just stop at Bloomers for a quick second instead of going all the way across town and then coming all the way back. So there were a lot of people that really, really missed not having a coffee shop downtown. Do you think having that downtown feel kind of, Fort Dodge's downtown is starting to kind of boom back in a little bit. We're starting to kind of push the downtown area. Do you think it's kind of nice having that? I mean, obviously you're going to have a little bit of a different thought on this because you own the place, but do you think it's kind of nice having a coffee shop downtown? Do you think a lot of people look towards having that coffee shop?
That's why I stayed downtown.
Nice.
I mean, I grew up in Fort Dodge. I remember when downtown
was booming.
Right, yeah. Mm-hmm. And people would come in and say, oh, I remember this in the Trolley Center, this and this. And the architecture, I didn't realize, I guess, and I've learned as the customers come in, how many businesses really are downtown. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one thing that makes me sort of upset when I read online and people are like, oh, there's nothing downtown. Yes. And I'm like, but there is.
Yeah.
Actually,
every building isn't full, but like, hey, I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would have people come in that is like, this is my first time downtown. And so how awesome is that if you have a business and people are coming downtown to see you and then downtown to see, the bookstore or the bakery, or, it's just one of those things that I think once people realize there is something down here, then they will come down here. Mm-hmm. But a lot of people, I just don't think, realize that there are thriving businesses downtown.
Well, a lot of them are the professional ones where there's not necessarily a lot of foot traffic, but there's employees. And actually in this area, it is the most dense employee area in the entire community.
Okay.
As far as the number of people employed in X number of city blocks.
Yeah, I remember pulling up a map. I mean, when you're done clicking on all the Bloomers links down below and stuff like that, then you can go to the city website and check out, or the downtown Fort Dodge website and check out the map. I was kind of surprised how many businesses are down here. Like you said, it's not a lot of foot traffic ones, but you go up to the 4th floor of the XYZ building and there's a business something there usually. It's just kind of cool. I also think like those people need coffee, and they don't want to go down all the steps and then go walk all the way to their car and then go out and follow the roundabouts and the stoplights and then go, like I said, go all the way across town. It's kind of nice. They can just walk a couple blocks down to see you, You still have a lot of foot traffic down there?
I would say not. Like the foot traffic from there is people that work downtown and had known that we are already down there. I know there's a lot of like we got a complaint the other day that people were parking in the wrong parking lot, which to me is I'm sorry. I hardly have a chance to look out and see that, there is no parking now in that area, which I think you guys can probably say too. In the Trolley Center, the days that I was open, the street was full of cars. I love being in that area in particular, just because of the Discovery Center that is down there now. And also I'm excited in the summertime to see the bike trail, if that brings in more foot traffic. And so there's one place in California that I would go to where they'd have like 5 or 6 people they were off their bikes, but outside drinking coffee. And so they just rode their bikes there and then, bought some coffee or sandwiches or whatever. And then just went back on their way. And so that's one thing as far as foot traffic goes that I'm really interested to see if from the bike trail people just pop on up and then pop on back down after they get what they want from Bloomers.
Well, that's the vision that's going on right now in the city of Fort Dodge, is the riverfront and the things that we're going to see and how it is going to impact the downtown district, because along with that, bikers want to have coffee and they want to have restaurants and they want to shop at specialty shops and boutiques. So the potential for the downtown district is really exciting at this time.
Too.
Yeah.
So if someone's never been to Bloomers, what's like the thing you would recommend? You had mentioned 7-layer bars. Is that correct?
7-layer bars have been, even though they're not, and again, they're not 7 layers. If you look up a 7-layer bar online, I think they call them like magic cookie bars too, but there's not 7 layers in them. There's maybe 5 different layers or 4, but it's basically, I would say I have a picture of myself in like I was 15 years old and there's a 7-layer bar right there. And so that's one of the most popular things. We also serve sandwiches. We have salads too. The beet salad, this summer before I reopened, or it was 2 summers ago, I would go to a garage sale with my Bloomer shirt on and they're like, "You have the famous beet salad." I'm like, okay.
Yes,
I didn't know it was
very true.
famous, but that's not the only time I heard it too. So the beet salad is really, really popular.
Wild.
Isn't that fun?
Yeah. Where it's like, one time I remember I served, she got something like a side salad or a pasta salad, and someone accidentally served her the beet salad. And she ate it all, and she's like, I swore off beets a long time ago, but I love this salad, and it was completely empty. We always say that people lick the bowl. We serve our salads in like an actual bowl, and so it's usually clean afterwards. Yeah.
One of my favorite things I saw online, and if somebody goes and looks this up and knows this person, I'm sorry for the description I'm about to say, but somebody who looked honestly like their profile picture was like kind of scary, left you a review that was just like the most scrumptious sandwich I've ever had in my life. And it's like, I was just thinking like, man, this person looks scary, but they were like, "Oh, Bloomers has the best sandwich I've ever had in my life." It's like, that's so funny. They use the word scrumptious too.
Right.
I love that. I don't know. I wanted to make sure I mentioned that, because when I was looking the stuff up online, I had seen that. But is there anything we haven't mentioned about Bloomers that you want to mention to the public? I'm trying to think of other things that maybe we kind of glossed over. You're open Tuesday through Saturday, correct?
Tuesday through Saturday, closed Sundays and Mondays. Probably this won't be aired but the month of February, this month, I'm closing. My son and myself go to El Salvador, and I've been going there since 2015. So that's a yearly thing that takes place where I close up for a month and leave and come back, and always cross my fingers that people are going to still follow me when I come back. So
Well, they love the story behind you leaving as well. It's a big deal.
Thank you. Yeah. And I hope to, like, family is really important to me, and helping people are really important to me. And I think the kind of customers that I have that understand that reflect on just how Bloomers is, the loyalty of our customers, and our loyalty to the customers too.
Absolutely. You're on Facebook and Instagram at Bloomers on Central on both of those. So usually when I get down to the end of the podcast, I ask everybody the same kind of question. And is there a way that marketing's impacted your life and maybe you didn't quite realize it until afterwards?
Yes. And I was trying to think of, every day marketing impacts me, even when I'm on Facebook and there was something, the ads come up, and finally by like the fourth month of me seeing this ad, I'm like, oh yeah, I do maybe need this.
I like that analogy though. It took 4 months
but
of
it
seeing
happened.
it, and then you finally decided.
It does happen, and I'm like, I probably, it 100% was marketing. But even now, like I don't like doing social media, which again, I have helped now people. One of the persons that work with me on Saturday, like she'll take pictures and then have me send me the thing so I can post it. But like even the Facebook marketing stuff where it's like promote your page, buy this for, bloomers, and but the main thing of promotion, and then thinking, well, if I get more likes or if I get more people following my page, and that'll make my page better, or that'll make bloomers better. And that's something I think I've realized too, is just because you have 100,000 followers, that doesn't necessarily mean that you are I've experienced where I've gone into a business that has a lot of followers and they aren't that good necessarily. And so, I guess that's one time where marketing hasn't got me yet. Not to say I won't promote pages and all that later on, but it's every day, and even in ways I haven't realized it yet.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. I think the analogy I'm going to make is I play music, and I would rather play music to like 10 people that are very attentive than 100 people and nobody's watching.
Mm-hmm, sure.
That's kind of the analogy you're giving for the social media, where it's like, yeah, you can have 100,000 followers, but if nobody really is that interactive with you, or they don't even shop there, then what difference does it make if you have 100,000 followers,
Yeah.
So yeah, that's definitely a good point. You kind of want that interaction. That's always the big thing we always kind of talk to people is like, you can make posts, but try to have like a call to action, make them interact with you, like find some way to kind of keep them interested, and it's not always easy. You kind of also, mentioned that where sometimes it's just exhausting doing that constant promotion, like over and over and over again. You're just yelling out into the void, and sometimes it's nice to just hand it off to somebody else and say, give it a whirl. See
somebody that's way better and more qualified than I am.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Why not? And I don't know. That's something we do a little bit of here is managing social media and things like that for people. And that's something that I've been doing a lot over the last year. Yes, it can be very exhausting. I will say that,
And there is method to the madness, as you've learned very much as you've been working on growing the podcasts out there, which he's done a fabulous job. But that's what I'm going to challenge everybody. Why don't you, when you listen to this or view it or however you do your podcast, give us a comment on what's your favorite food from Bloomers, or what's your favorite coffee, or what's your favorite time of the day, or whatever it is about that. Put that comment in there because I know she would love to see that.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right. So the last thing I got, the menu items, I'm talking regular coffee. So you got black coffee, but you do make like espresso drinks and things like that.
Espresso drinks.
So you can mix coffees and do the fancy stuff too.
Yes.
And you have your own basically homemade like bars and salads and things like that as well.
Salads, sandwiches, I would say more specialty sandwiches. And we've kept since the original Bloomers, the made to order sandwich. If you just want a ham sandwich on a croissant, we can do that. Or if you want something fancy, like with mushrooms and goat cheese and balsamic vinaigrette, we have a range that I think everyone will like. And also if you have a drink that you maybe even make at home, or you're like, oh, would this and this go together? We love trying out new things. And even maybe one day might have it on the menu because, they experimented with it there, and we were able to make it for them and have them try it too.
More ideas for the comment page.
Right. Yes.
As well.
True.
Rebecca wants to know what items do I need to add to my my recipes of goodies.
Well, it sounds amazing. Sounds very delicious. Bloomers tomorrow, everybody. What do we think? All right.
Sure.
We got some thumbs up and some head nods here in the room. So we might be coming by to see you tomorrow. You never know. Awesome. So I just want to say thank you for taking time out of your day to join us, and best of luck at the new location.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
We have one more thing.
Okay.
This is Buster the Bulldog, and Buster the Bulldog is our mascot because we are bulldogs to get our clients and our community digitally online so people can find it and our community grow. And we would just like you to rub his forehead or his head here for a little bit of good luck going forward. It just keeps getting shinier and shinier. Yes, Buster. He's such a cutie. He's the best dog ever.
Sadie heard that.
No.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Yes, thank you.
This podcast is produced by Spin Market and Digital. Located in Fort Dodge, Iowa, Spin Market's highly skilled team can help you increase your market by updating your website, improving SEO, designing advertisements, and producing podcasts that will grab the attention of your market. Contact Spin Market today for all your digital marketing needs at digitalagent@spinmarket.com or call us at 515-302-8026. And to learn more, visit our website at www.spinmarket.com. That's digitalagent@spinmarket.com or 515-302-8026. Or visit our website at www.spinmarket.com.